And welcome everyone to the Man Cave. My name is Paul Knapp, and this is season number 3, episode number 7, I believe, already for the year. And waiting in the green room is our friend and author and all-around good guy, Mr. Jim Beard. You may already have his book. I showed it to you about a week ago or 2 weeks ago when I got it through Amazon. So we're looking forward to having him on. But before we get started with that, I got to introduce my panel for tonight. And finally, from the great state of Canada, we have Mr. Murray Corrigan joining us tonight. Hey, Murray.
No state. We are a sovereign country, and we plan to stay there.
Finally, we got you not working on a Monday night. How's it going?
Gotta love it. It's going good. I'm happy to be here. It's been a while, and I've missed it. Nice to see everyone out in the chat room. That's always good.
Yep.
Full house.
All right.
Getting fuller all the time by the minute.
You're still in Rick's. That's what he likes to do, is say hi to everybody in the chat room. So don't steal that from Rick tonight, okay?
Okay, I won't. Hey, Barb.
All right. Oh, my sister's here already?
Yep.
Then we got this guy, Mr. Sig 20 himself.
What's up?
Ace Armstrong.
Don't push me. Golly.
How you doing, Ace?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah. We're like twins, you know. So
Yep, you look exactly alike.
we do. Yeah. You take the glasses off, man, you can't tell the difference. I got that long flowing hair.
And somebody else from the panel tonight, who's always here.
Yo,
Bradshaw.
dog.
How you doing?
How is everybody? I won't bother naming everyone. Murray already did that.
Ah, come
Oh,
on.
We didn't do it because
sorry, Rick.
Now we got the regular crowd here. Everyone's in tonight. Very good.
Yeah.
Barb's here.
And Denise too.
Ernie.
Denise is sitting in the other room. She's waiting for me to
Pause.
be quiet.
We're missing Big Boss Jack. Where's Big
What's
Boss
up with
Jack?
that? He's always here by now.
Yeah,
He's always
Yeah,
pretty
didn't see him.
quick. Yeah.
War Drawer's here.
must be running late.
Ronald's here.
Action Joe
Ronald,
Figgs,
yeah.
Mr. Cos.
Adam.
Is Ernie? Yeah.
Ronald McDonald's got internet
Awesome.
this week, so he's here.
Cos is here. You know.
Michael Burke.
Well, everybody.
Andy and
Yeah.
Indy. I hope you're not in the hospital right now. He was feeling pretty bad this week, apparently.
Yeah, he's been.
I think he's well, maybe not. I thought he was out. I thought I said he was out already.
No.
He's been feeling lousy.
Oh.
And we got one more panel member tonight. I had to bring a ringer in because we have an author who wrote a book, so we had to bring in a school teacher
that could read.
and it is Angelo D'Annabelle.
Yeah.
Evening. Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
Hello.
Your room's looking a little dark. Are you? Oh, okay.
Is it dark up here today?
Yeah,
It's
looks
not
like
bad.
light.
Not bad. All right.
Yeah, oh, that's fine.
Sorry.
You're looking
I'm-
good, man.
Thanks, man. It's cold up here in upstate again. You know, we had like 2 days of an ice storm. We had like 4
Yeah.
inches of straight ice. No one could go anywhere outside. It's like crazy.
Uh-huh.
Pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
nice at all.
And Murray,
are you off? Are you off this week? Do you?
No, we have a holiday today, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, we're off. This is our February break, our winter break from school.
Oh, okay. Ours comes in March. Our kids get a week in March.
Okay.
Those of us that work in the schools and in the board office don't get that though.
of course, you
We have
get
to go to work.
Yeah.
you get President's Day off today, like all of us, right? You
No,
celebrate.
no. We
our
get family day off.
Family Day.
And it's only in a few provinces. It's not.
Oh, really? Not the whole country.
No, the federal employees are still working today. We got mail today. Which is,
Oh, wow.
probably better than you guys.
Yeah, I was looking for the mail today. I went out and threw some rock salt, hoping I was going to get some packages. Then I'm like, oh, damn it, there's no mail today.
No mail.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
You'll get
Upper
double the
seven.
packages tomorrow.
Yes.
Get
I know,
double.
I know Rick's always waiting on the packages too. We converse every once in a while, and it's always about what toys we're getting in the mail. It seems like I don't know, and
I have something to show you. I'm going to show it to you tonight.
Are you going to wait till I say what's new in your zoo, or do you want to?
Yeah,
You just want to jump right in now. What are
Sounds like they already are.
I don't want to step on any toes.
Hey, Rick, I can mute myself, and you guys can just do the show if you like. I mean,
Stacey.
You notice these two are on the bottom too, right?
Stacey, didn't he say that last week? Didn't he say he wanted us to take over?
He did, yeah.
He keeps threatening that.
Hey, listen.
Something's up.
I had to take over this past Saturday. I don't know if you watched the show.
I saw it.
You absolutely did.
Hey. Okay, first off, let me just comment. It's harder than people think when they start off the live stream.
No,
I mean, ask Jeff, ask anybody that it's tough, and you don't want dead air, man. I mean, it's just like being on the radio with dead air, and that's hard. Yep. So if you don't have questions lined up, if you don't have people, plus Michael Hinchman's internet. I mean, I felt for him too, because you get somebody with down internet. That's why you practice early.
What did I miss here?
I felt bad. Well, I was approached by a couple of gentlemen, and wanted to know if I wanted to talk a little adventure team this past Saturday.
Cool.
It's a smaller outfit. They're just getting themselves established, and I didn't know what to expect, and they seem really nice guys. I watched a couple of their podcasts. But unfortunately, like I said, Michael Hinchman was on there, and his internet was absolute garbage, and he had a lot to show. And I mean, he's got a great Facebook site. The pictures are awesome. It's just that you couldn't hear him at all, and it kept freezing up. And then I felt I didn't know what to do, so I went into teacher mode, and I just started rambling, and I was going nonstop, and it was like but I felt that if I didn't, there was like Paul said, there was a lot of dead air, and that will kill a podcast, is all that dead air. When people aren't contributing or aren't talking or asking questions. You have to be able to do that, to overcome that. So I tried to do that. I hope I could get invited back again with those guys. I'd love to talk more Joe stuff. But I think they need to ramp up their game a little bit.
Send me the link. I'd love to catch it.
Yeah.
Send me the link later.
Okay.
If you'd be so kind. I'd love to.
Angelo, since you got it started, why don't we just start off of you? What's new in your zoo, man?
Okay. I figured I was going to not talk too much 1/12 scale, because it seems like that's all I've been focusing on lately. So I left the adventure team stuff in the background here from the podcast this Saturday. So I kind of left that up to say, yes, I still do collect and participate in the 1/6 field and hobby. One of the things I will share is that what Jeff Scher sent me one of the golden skulls for I'm going to be creating a comic. So what I ended up doing is I had to sand it up a little bit, because obviously when he molded these, how they come out, you can see the seam and everything else. So there's some imperfections. So I had to sand it up a little bit, and then I put some imperfections in it on purpose, carved up the skull. So you can almost see like the skull obviously is a fixed joint. So for those of you in your medical field, it's made up of several different joints that fuse together as the baby starts to mature. That's why there's a soft spot in the back. All right, I won't talk about health anymore, but I had to divide up the skull, make some scars on it, and I'm going to be getting some paint tomorrow. I'm going to paint it gold. I'm going to add some moss, some fake moss and grasses and whatnot. And I've already started developing my story. So whenever I go about doing a story, a photo story, the ideas come to head, and then I need to write. So I'm 10 pages in of a Real American Hero 12-inch or 1/12 scale G.I. Joe comic. I'm 10 pages in that I'm going to be photographing this week, and I'm going to be posting those on YouTube. And then I started writing my Golden Skull version for the 1/6 photo comic that is going to be for October with Jeff Scher's contest that he's having. So I'm developing that one. I'm writing that one. I'm doing research, because every time I do some type of comic, it's got to have some historical significance, or has some realistic connection. So I'm doing some legwork for that. So I'm looking forward to really getting back into 1/6 with my stories. But everything I do, it's always developing the story first, then drawing it all up, getting the, just like you would do it making a movie, and then get my dialogue bubbles ready and photographing the whole thing. So that's kind of what's been new in the zoo here. A lot of creativity, a lot of writing. I'm not in school, so I'm using all that energy there. And like I said, this week with the snow and ice that we had, it's been crazy outside. So I'm going to be inside doing a lot of photography over the next couple of days. So stay tuned for the Real American Hero 1/12 scale G.I. Joe. It's going to probably be in about a 4-parter because it's going to be actually pretty long.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. Mr. Rick, you're up next.
I'm up next. I'll start with 1/6. Everyone has one of these. A custom pirate, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jack Sparrow.
These are from 2006, made by Disney for the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
The outfits are great. You can find these on eBay fairly cheap, I think. So I made this guy several years ago. This is a super articulated Joe. I bought him off of eBay, naked. And when I opened him up, this was a few years ago, his leg immediately snapped off at the knee. I tell people about super articulated Joes. Elbows and knees get fragile. You got to be careful with them. Mm-hmm. So this particular guy has a peg leg.
Well, that's cool.
That works.
So,
heck yeah.
And I made the little do-rag for him. Right. But the outfit is nice if you want to make some pirates. They made they made Jack Sparrow and whatever, Jack Wilbur or whatever the guy's
They're hard
name
to get,
was.
though.
What's that?
They're very hard to get. They're like the Lone Rangers figures.
No, you can find them on eBay. They're out there.
Around $35 a piece.
A bear last week, remember, Rick?
What's that?
You bought a bear last week and you didn't think it was too much.
Yeah,
right.
That's what happens when you're rich. Yeah. When you're rich like Rick, you could just keep buying toys.
I'm not rich. I'm a reckless spender.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will be working until I'm 99. So
you and me both.
I'm not rich.
Sure.
I'm not retiring. I refuse.
Here's my other figure I bought.
Oh,
this
nice.
is a NECA.
Vincent Price?
Yeah. Vincent Price.
That looks good.
Yeah.
It's 7 inches, 7-inch tall.
Mm-hmm.
He comes with a whole bunch of stuff.
Nice head sculpt.
Yeah. He comes with, let's see if they can see these 3 head sculpts. One, he's young, middle-aged, and then an older.
Well, and then one looks like he's dead.
Yeah, the skull on the top, right?
Yeah, they give him a skull. I'm not sure what to do with that.
Cat. I like the cat in the book.
It's a cat. The book is his cookbook because he was a cook, and they gave him a whole bunch of right here. They gave him a bunch of albums. These are vinyl albums because he was a record collector as well.
Oh, cool. I like his Dr. Phibes movies.
My favorite movie of his is The Last Man on Earth. He did a really good job, and that's the best adaptation of Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. If you ask me. The other thing I bought, this is from Alien Romulus. This is the Scorched Alien from, again, NECA. This guy's about 10 inches tall. So if anyone was looking for him, he's readily available online. He would fit pretty good with Joe's, 1/6 Joe's. He's a little on the small side, but not too bad. He's a little not too bad. He's one of the larger aliens. And he comes with, if I can get it out, comes with his face hugger. Is it the face hugger?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely use that in a photo story.
Yeah, yep. And he comes with the little chest burster. See if I can get that up.
Higher.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah.
Let's see if I can get see the little arms on him.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like me. Yeah.
And the last thing I got, and I'm just showing this for Angelo because I didn't send him a picture online. This is The Last of Us.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And this was made by PlayStation as opposed to the NECA figures. The NECA figures, of course, are 7 inches. These guys are closer to 1/12. So they might work well with the 3D printed heads.
Where did you find that one, Rick? Where'd you find that one?
Amazon.
Was
40
it?
bucks.
Hey, that's cheap. That's not bad at all.
That's not
Is
bad.
Is it still on there for that?
I think so, yeah.
I'm gonna have to jump on it because I know that rifle alone, people are getting like $20 just for that, just for the rifle with the scope.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can. This one has the rifle with the scope comes with the NECA ones.
Does that one have the rifle? Does that have the one with the scope?
No, it has
No,
a
okay.
rifle. See, the rifle
Okay,
doesn't
yep.
have a scope.
Oh yeah.
But it's not the one that looks like the Adventure Team one.
No, that's
Okay.
that's NECA. And
That's why. Yeah.
That outfit, that one's going to cost you about $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that.
That's that.
More reckless spending. They should call it Rick's reckless spending.
Maybe that would
Yeah,
be,
right.
that should be a new, maybe that'll be a new side podcast. We can do reckless spending.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 8:18, and we still have a guest waiting,
Oh.
Rick. I just want to let you know, just a reminder. Just a reminder, this is a show for Jim Beard.
Just cut off Stacy and Murray.
Stacey,
has
got anything
nothing to
good?
show
Murray,
for
got
you.
anything? No. Okay, back to me. Hurry up, Stacey. You got 30 seconds. Tell us what you got.
And Rick, who can't afford to retire because he's gonna have to work the rest of his life, and he's sitting here buying stuff. Okay, so I got this came in.
I love the 40th anniversary stuff, man.
Yeah,
Me
and
too.
then I got this in this week. These all came from Pastor Cruz Flores.
Oh, nice.
40th
nice.
anniversary?
No, that's Dreams and Vision.
Yeah,
Yes,
Dreams and Visions.
No, I said the
Yeah.
40th anniversary came from
Yeah,
Pastor.
Yeah.
Cruz.
Did he give it
and
to
then
you? Did he sell it to you?
no,
Yeah.
and then I got Rick sent me this so I could flock it.
Is that New York?
Dude,
No,
that's
he
you.
wouldn't send it to me because he's a purist. So I'm gonna flock it. I bought it myself.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah,
It's going to take you. Good luck with that.
Take you down.
That's it?
That's it. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
You only bought that. You only bought that because I bought it.
That's right.
I'm buying it
All
next.
right.
Oh, Rick.
I need one too.
You're up
Big
last,
bear.
Murray, from Canada. You're up last.
Murray,
Let's go.
Murray, do you have a bear?
No. Rick
All right,
mentioned
Murray's done
pirate.
then.
Let's see
pirate?
which way.
There you go.
Yeah. Pirate from one of the online groups back in the day. We did a pirate ship for one of the Jocons. And everyone in the group contributed a pirate that they bashed.
Oh, it was a kit bag.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
I thought I recognized that head sculpt. I think that's one of the.
it's it's one of the raw ones. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then Stacy had traded me for and gave me a couple Action Men figures.
Oh, nice.
And I picked up the 40th Combat Marine set from Cotswold. And this is the final result. Nice looking set.
Yeah, that's
Very
cool.
nice. Cool figure. Love Action Man. And that's it.
All right.
Rick Paul told me, Pookie told me there's time limits.
I was wondering if you're going to catch that. Thank you.
Oh, I don't miss much.
Great.
We're gonna have to change that, Doctor.
Ronald McDonald in the chat room wants to know if somebody can make him a 3D printed head. I don't know if it's of Ronald McDonald or if it's of him. So I'm sure somebody could do Ronald McDonald, the figure, and send it to him. But
Brian, see Brian Gidney. He might be able to do it for you.
Books.
I had an announcement to make. Big Boss Jack is in the house.
Yes.
He was 13
Yeah.
minutes
There he
late.
is.
I saw him pop in at the 13-minute
That's
mark.
the
He was
first.
13
Nice,
minutes
okay.
late. Hey, I usually don't take up much time, but I do want to mention the guests that we have lined up. Next week, we have Felipe Monaco. He was on the show the very first year, so we're going to bring him back. And in March, we have, not in this particular order, but we have Dan DiBiase. We're getting him in here.
Oh.
Tim McCowan, David Howard. A lot of you guys know
All right.
David. And Tina Miller. We're going to have a female special guest.
Cool.
And Ernie Haupt. So hopefully that'll fill up March for us. So.
That's
But without
excellent.
further ado, if he didn't fall asleep in the guest green room here, we do have the author, as I said earlier, of the book. It's called The Joy of Joe, Memories of America's Movable Fighting Man from Today's Grown-Up Kids. This is Mr. Jim Beard.
Welcome, Jim.
Wow,
Oh
Hey,
my
Paul's
God,
in the
they're
house.
multiplying.
Hey, Paul.
that looks
Oh,
familiar.
hey,
Jim.
hey, Paul. That
Yeah,
was weird, wasn't it?
That's
we're gonna
weird,
change
man.
his name to Pooch.
Those
Does
are
You know,
everyone
different.
have a Paul Knapp head sculpt now? What's going on?
I've been really looking forward
Not
all
me.
week to see which one of you is the better conversationalist.
It's probably the doll. Yeah.
Definitely the dummy.
You know, it's actually been very problematic because he's already been criticizing my GI Joe collection.
It's not big enough.
Never
He does
is.
come complete with lifelike attitude.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Take
yeah,
him
I'm
upstairs and
already
leave him.
getting that. Yeah, he keeps
Take him
wanting to put
upstairs.
the Cobra shorts on, and I'm not going there. I'm sorry.
Everyone has a Paul head. Thank you.
I
They're
don't.
going fast.
No, me neither.
Hi guys.
Got a lot of people in the chat room want to ask questions, but let's bring you
Okay.
up big here real quick. And first, what got you started in collecting in general, or are you a collector? Maybe I should ask you that. Or are
Yeah.
you just
Yeah, although you know what, I'll be honest. I refer to myself as a casual collector because of just budget and other things that I actually had to set up sort of like parameters to my collecting. And what I do today is I only pick up stuff in the wild. Stuff that I go to antique malls or every once in a while on Facebook Marketplace and something like that. And it really keeps me in line, So I'm not I'm like Rick. There's no way I can retire, Rick will be working till he's 99. I'll be working till I drop over dead. But so it, I mean, I'm a Joe kid from back in the day, and always loved the stuff. All my stuff went to Goodwill. I'm sure that's a common story that you hear. When I was 14, my mother, God bless her soul, shamed me into taking all of my stuff to Goodwill, and my GI Joes and all that went with it. And I always missed it, and so I picked up a few things here and there. But I got married, and we were kind of struggling. My wife passed away in 2019, and
Yeah.
I actually started in a little bit more on it as a kind of therapy, in a way, and it brings me a lot of joy, and that's why the book is called The Joy of Joe.
Well, your book came out in 2018, right?
2018. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So how long were you working on that book before it published?
Well, let's see. I mean, it was less than a year. I've gotten it down to kind of a science where I can, put together a book and get it edited and get a cover for it and everything, usually within a year's time. For a big publisher, obviously, that's going to be a lot longer time, but I'm very impatient and I'm very obsessive compulsive. So I can't sit on stuff that I put together. I want to get it together and be happy with it and put it out into the world and start hearing reactions, and hopefully, it's going to spur some conversations, and Joy of Joe certainly has it. It's been just an incredible journey with that book. And it actually kicked off a series. So there's 5 books now in that Memories from Today's Grown-Up Kids, where I invite a bunch of writers in, people who grew up with whatever the theme of each volume is, and then they just talk about it. They just dig in and start telling their stories, and people seem to really love it. And so far, Joy of Joe has just gotten amazing reactions. It's one of my best rated books on Amazon. The Joe community is just beyond belief, and have really embraced it, and I'm really grateful for
That's
that.
excellent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we have one guy on our panel that read all your stuff, and he has specific questions for you.
Okay, good.
Stacy, you Stacy said your book had not a lot of pictures last week, so he said he didn't have it. So. Said there's
So,
too many words.
Jim, I have a question. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to
Wait
jump
a
in
minute,
and
you're
ask
the
a question.
teacher, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I am.
I
I'm the
do
fifth.
believe in the Oxford comma. I'm just throwing that out there, so you don't have to ask about that.
But I'm only a fifth grade teacher. My wife, who is a college professor, who is now dean of Siena College, she might look at it
Okay.
differently. So I think you're all right.
How
You're
does
all
she
right by me.
tolerate you?
I know. Hey, look at this room. She got me this room when we put the addition on because I had so much all the toys
Yeah.
were everywhere. So now I have this big room upstairs, and she has a nice fireplace room with her own bathroom downstairs. So no one's allowed to go down there.
That makes for a happy marriage.
And that's
When
including
we
you.
moved into this house, my wife said, "I have the downstairs, you have the upstairs," and that's it. And it's like great. And so that's how my upstairs is.
Yeah, so this is the man attic. So Jim, I want to know, since you are a one-man show, and you say you write, you say you want to have things done and you want them done more or less, in a timely fashion. The patience, I'm the same way in regards to wanting to get things done. I don't like to wait that long, and I plow through things in order to have them to completion. In regards to the book and producing it and getting the book out published, how do you do that? Like, what did you do? If I wanted to start taking, I do a lot of photo comics. If I wanted to take one of my photo comics and put it into, I have it like in a trade paperback format. How would I go the next step? What's the route to go in order to try to get something published and sold on Amazon or Kindle or wherever?
I'll try to keep this short. All of the technology is out there. There's never been a better time ever for small press self-publishing. I'm about as low tech as you get. I mean, I barely could turn this laptop on today to come in here today, and I was really nervous of pressing the button to go to restream and everything. But all of the technology exists. I work through KDP, which is Amazon basically, but KDP is their publishing platform, and it's kind of a no-brainer, even for somebody like me. And the parts of it that I don't know or can't do myself, I've surrounded myself with people who can, and I work with them, and it makes it happen. All of the tools that you need are right there with KDP, and in short order, you can have something up and on Amazon. You'll want to be careful about rights issues if you're using photographs of toys, obviously. We were kind of talking about that before we started live here today. But beyond that, you can do it. And then, like me, I don't know how to format the print edition of books. That involves having PDFs. I can make Word documents, which that's how you make the Kindle versions of it. And I do all of that, and I actually have a formatter. She's a fantastic designer and formatter, and she knows all that. And I hand my Word document over to her, and she starts making the PDF of it. She follows KDP's guidelines, which she says are pretty clear. And then I get it back, and I go page by page to make sure everything looks right. There's no little orphans, on pages or anything like that. And we go through maybe a couple of drafts, and then she, gives it to me. I upload that to KDP. I usually have a separate cover artist, and again, they're working with the guidelines that KDP has, and it all kind of comes together. There's a little bit of trial and error, but I'm getting better and better and better at it all the time. And the end result is you're not to wax too poetic about it, but your dreams come true. Something that was always in your head, and now you actually have it. You either have it on the screen as a Kindle book, or you have that in your hand, that print edition. And I got to tell you, after all these years, there's nothing like holding that book. You open up the box, and there's your book.
So
Nice.
what what got you started in doing it? I mean, was it just the love of Joe, and you said I got to write a book, or was it
Yeah,
people coming to you at shows and saying,
yeah. It's that Joy of Joe was not meant to be the first book of a series. That came a little bit later, but it was the urge to do a book about GI Joe. You know, it's funny. There's not a lot like that other than guides for collecting, right?
yeah, collector
I mean,
guides, yeah,
and that's great, and we all need those things, and I love those, and you know how many different guys have done that. I wanted to do something different because there's always going to be somebody who knows more than I do. I mean, again, I'm a casual collector. I love it, and I've learned a lot over the years, and I can identify things. I know 60 soldiers from Adventure Team, right? But I wanted to do a book on GI Joe, and I said, what am I going to do that's going to be different and hopefully will stand out? And I realized what I was passionate about the most was talking about GI Joe, talking about what it means to me, why it's the greatest toy ever, and then the idea of going out and getting people like that, like me, who felt that same way, and having all of us tell our stories. And that really came down to childhood. So this series of books is memories from childhood. I wanted to hear from people about what did it mean to you to grow up with GI Joe, and it was very important to me that it was going to cover all of GI Joe. I really wanted everybody to be represented in the book. So it's not only that we're talking about the 60s stuff, we're not only talking about Adventure Team, but we're talking about Real American Hero also. That was really important to me. And something happened that I hoped for, and there it was. I started to get all the essays, and there was a common thread among all the essays that no matter what era that you played with GI Joe in, there were these things that you had in common. You know, a guy in the '60s has in common with a guy from the '80s or the '90s, and the cool thing is some reviewers have actually called that out. That it's like, you know, we can come together as a community. I saw a little bit of like, kind of like the 12-inch guys, kind of maybe looking a little bit down on the 3 3/4 inch guys, and kind of vice versa. Yeah, and that kind of bugged me because it's like, well, I mean, I get that in a way, but you know, it's still GI Joe. It's still the same
yeah,
concept in
Experience
a way.
is similar.
yeah,
Yeah. So another big push of that was like, how can we how can we bring it all together? You know, how can
yeah,
we talk about GI Joe as a thing and not about, is he 12-inch? Is he, forgive me guys, Super Joe?
yeah,
Or or,
or
or
three
is
and
he
three
three and
quarter,
three
yeah,
quarter inch? You know. So and you know what? I mean, if I may say so, I think it worked.
yeah.
Yep.
And the book's, you know, been getting out there, and people seem to be digging it.
Michael Burke from the chat room has a question for you. Are we going to see some new Adventure Command stories coming out?
Yeah, so I just recently put out the fourth volume, and I'm super, super, super proud of it. DC Jones and Adventure Command has gone in directions and gone to places that I never would have imagined. It grew out of a, you know, kind of a small idea, which is a way to capture the fun of playing with action figures as a kid, but in fiction stories, you know, in prose stories. And could I do that? Could that be a thing? Could I possibly get that across in stories? I don't own DC. Pardon me, I don't own GI Joe, regrettably, or he'd be on, you know, a lot more shelves and a lot more toy stores now. But so I basically just invented my own version of it. But I think and hope that when people read it, they're going to see a lot of familiar things. You know. So getting back to the question, sorry. Um, yeah, I have an idea where I'm going. So there's four main volumes and a little accessory one called Action Accessories, a little book of short stories that's kind of a side thing to it. The first three books completed a sort of trilogy of stories, and then the fourth one is more or less kind of a standalone. But I've been progressing through the years, so I'm up to 77. Is that right? I went 73. No, I've lost track of it. I think it's like 73, 74, 75, 76. I can't remember where I started and where I'm ending up. I have an idea for two more books to kind of do another, trilogy of books. But thanks for that question. I'm glad that somebody's reading this damn thing.
Yeah, well, somebody said,
People
Andy
reading
said
them.
you just came out. Well, something new. That was the fourth one.
Yeah, so the fourth one, I tried something different. I'm the kind of guy that even if I have a series of books, I want like to kind of always be challenging myself and doing something different. The first three books, like I said, are kind of one bigger overarching story, and I started fresh with the fourth book. And the premise of the fourth book is that there was I think I'm at 1976, if I remember correctly. I hate to say that, I have a poor memory. But the premise is that there was a one season live action DC Jones television series in 1976. And then it disappeared. It went off the air. There was never another season of it. And even to this day, it's never been on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. You can't find any scripts for it. You can barely find any stills from it. Props, costumes, anything. It's like somebody made it disappear. So the premise is that the editor of the book, which is me, finds six novelizations of six episodes that were never published. That there was a writer that died, and his widow found the manuscripts and got them to me, and then they were finally published.
Cool.
And it details DC Jones and Adventure Command fighting a group of aliens called the Invaders, and it's very much supposed to feel like 70s television. You're reading it. Hopefully, that you're going to think that you're watching episodes of $6 Million Man or something like that.
Shazam.
But it also harkens back to the TV show The Invaders too, where it's a subtle invasion. They're doing more subtle things. It's not like V, where they just come down out of the sky and everybody sees them, kind of a thing. It's more like they're among us, but we're not really sure who or where they're at, kind of a thing. So you got to imagine GI Joe fighting, something
Cool.
like that. Go ahead.
Got
Sounds very
any pictures in it for Stacy?
There are some pictures in it. So the fun thing about the DC Jones book for me is that I wanted to have some illustrations throughout the book. So what I've done is put together like fake instruction sheets that are like the stuff that you'd get in Adventure Team things. So there's fake instruction sheets in the first three books. And then for the fourth one, it was all stuff related to this TV show. One thing had a supposed one page from a script that ended up on eBay several years ago, and somebody bought it and then it disappeared. No one's ever seen it again. There was a TV guide close up. Remember in TV Guide they had those half-page close-up things? We mocked up one of those for the show. The cover of the book itself looks like a TV Guide, except it's called TV Target. So TV Guide won't come after me.
Cool.
But yeah, there's some illustrations for those people that need that crutch.
And those can be found on Amazon as well. All your other
They sure the hell can, yes.
hard copy as well as Kindle, or they just Kindle.
And then the first two books actually have audiobook versions, and those.
There you go, Stacy.
Since we couldn't have,
Now we're talking.
Since there's no way to do the illustrations with the audiobook, we did DC Jones commercials from the 70s that are supposed to emulate the GI Joe commercials. So we actually have, like a guy, DC Jones, you know, rides into your town and pick up the new this or that or whatever it is. And then for the second one, we actually recorded a DC Jones theme song. I have a musician friend who recorded the music, and I wrote lyrics to it, and it's supposed to emulate the Adventure Team commercial that actually has a theme song in it. I'm having way too much fun with this stuff.
No such
that's
thing.
good.
Yeah.
That's the way
Angela,
it's
you
supposed
said
to
you
be.
read the books or the series?
I have them. I have them on the Kindle and one like an audiobook as well. So listening to them when I'm doing if I'm downstairs flocking. So Stacy, this would be a great thing. You can listen to it while you're flocking. It's a great opportunity to do that. But I wanted to ask Jim another question in regards to this is something that comes up that Paul talks about a lot towards the end of the show. Asking where do you see the future of GI Joe of 1/6 scale collecting? My thing is, with you creating the book, The Joy of G.I. Joe, can you tell me the title again? I'm sorry.
The Joy of Joe. Yeah.
The Joy of Joe. With that, you said it was almost like oral histories of all the different experiences that all of these grown people have had, whether it was the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s Joes. Now, all of the youngest person there now is going to be in their 40s or in their 50s. Recollecting what was the fun that they had with that imaginative play with a toy GI Joe. What has happened now? These kids who are growing up today don't have those experiences. How do we get that? With the literature, with these books, hopefully getting them into the hands of kids and get them interested and excited, and maybe want to then go get one of the figures and play and do the same types of things, but we don't see it. Something is happening that the kids don't have that imaginative play, and there won't be those oral history stories anymore because they're going to be talking about, when they were playing Fortnite and not how they were playing GI Joe in the backyard.
I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't already know. Kids just today have way more avenues, these days than we did. And I don't want to, start like saying in my day we had, action figures, but I mean it is kind of like that. There's too many things that are much more flashy and stimulating, I guess, in a way than what we had. I was listening to a podcast just recently, and Brian Michael Bendis, the comic book writer, was talking about that he was there when Star Wars came out. He was there when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out. He was there to watch the Spider-Man TV series back in the 70s. And although there's some things that we kind of laugh about today, he said, and I love this because I agree with this, he said, we were all so starved for things. And that's so much true. We kind of took what we had back then, and that's why I think all that stuff means so much more to us today than the more or less disposable things that are going on now. I don't play video games, but I have some younger friends who do, and it kind of amazes me and sort of depresses me how quickly they get a new video game, they play it a couple times, and then it's obsolete. It's just you get another one
and leave it.
You move on to it, and that's kind of sad. I don't know. I wish I had the answer of what it would take. I work for a restaurant that actually has a connection to the TV show MASH.
Cool.
And it's very
cool,
it's popular, but we see it all the time. It's slipping away with the younger generations. They don't know what it is unless they have a parent or a grandparent who are sitting them down saying, watch this. It's really good and it's really important. And I think you'll like it. otherwise they're not going to find it on their own, and they're not really going to care at all. So
Yeah.
it kind of falls on us now, parents, grandparents. Hopefully, it's we're not talking about great grandparents with any of you guys, but
Just
We're
Rick.
good, but we're not that good.
okay, good. but
I
but
never had kids, so
it falls on us and our generations to keep it alive and to hopefully make sure that it's going to be remembered after we're gone. I think there's still a little, or maybe there's a lot of stain still on GI Joe because of its military roots, which again is sad. But it's a shame because it's just such a rich concept, a rich toy, and it impacted so many of us over the years. I think it's going to be the toy that you can't kill, and Hasbro sort of tried. I think. It was actually when I was putting together Joy of Joe. I think it was where being naive, I went into when we still had Toys R Us. Remember Toys R Us?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
Still in
I went into
Canada.
I went into Toys R Us as almost a way of doing a little research, and I wanted to look and see what Joe was up to. And I remember walking through Toys R Us, and there was no GI Joe.
You cried.
And I went back to some of my younger friends, some of the people that are in that book, and the two guys that did some editing work with me, and I'm like, I went looking for GI Joe, and I didn't find any GI Joe, and they went, oh yeah, there really isn't anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
how could that be? I mean,
I
like,
think 2010 was the last GI Joe they made in 12-inch.
yeah. I mean, there wasn't even like the little guys necessarily.
Yeah.
Though really, I was shocked because I was like, I mean, isn't that Hasbro's bread and butter? And they're like, yeah, they don't
well,
really.
they're
Yeah,
killing
they
it
were.
with the classified Joes, though.
Yeah. So well, yeah. So
Now they are,
I
yeah.
was funny. It was funny. I was actually excited when the 6-inch ones started coming out. That's the classified, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
classified.
Because not only did I think it was probably a good idea to do that, and they look really nice. I wasn't into it because those characters don't hit me the
Right.
way something older
Yeah.
does. But I was really glad for the people that I knew that would appreciate that. I was really happy for them. Like, this is great because it looks like they're putting some quality into these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a good line.
And I mean, if that's the way to get it to go, I wish to God they would do some 6-inch adventure team.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Only me and Angelo appreciate it.
Angelo and Rick are taking care of that.
Okay.
That's right.
And
Okay.
Angelo has
I don't know,
created
Jim.
his own
Yeah.
adventure team, 6-inch
Yeah.
scales.
I've been I have a 3D printed heads that are based on the retro. Yeah, here's my cat. My cat wants to join in. They're reproduction heads, 3D printed 1/12 scale heads that I either paint to look like the painted head or I flock them to look like Adventure Team. So,
That's great.
kitty cat, move for a second.
That's Vincent Price's cat.
Yeah, right.
So this is
The black
this
cat.
is one. This one here, I made look like an aged adventurer, and that is a reproduction head. I know it's blurry. I'm gonna get a new camera, but I flocked it. But if you when you look up close at the head, it is based on the vintage style. And after flocking them, they look like the Adventure Team figures.
That's
So
wonderful.
Rick's been taking amazing pictures, and these Adventure Team figures have been blowing up a little bit with the 1/12 scale. Hasbro just hasn't gotten behind it. They can make painted heads that had beards and look like it, but they're not doing it. They could add the flock to it, but that's a little bit more work, and they're not doing that either. Why? No idea.
It's funny. I've seen that they seem to want to forget Adventure Team, but then they always have one little reminder here and there. There was a set of they're not Legos, but was it
Legos,
Creo?
Creo, the
And I
Creo
remember
figures
being in
with
a
the fuzzy
store
hair.
and like seeing those, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And like looking at the package, I'm like, holy hell, there's an Adventure Team guy
Yeah.
in this thing. And of course, I bought a couple. Did I get an Adventure Team one? No, I did not. But I was like,
As
why
long
do
as
they
you didn't give
why
them
do they
one.
do this? Like is it like I think part of it might be to like reinforce copyrights and trademarks. You know, comic book
Maybe,
companies do that a
maybe.
lot, where some obscure character suddenly has their own series or miniseries, and you wonder why, and it's like, oh, it's because they need to renew the copyright. But I remember the day that I discovered that they at one point did some Adventure Team 3 3/4 inch figures. And I was like, "Oh my God!" They like, and I went out looking for them, and this was after that they were already out. And my God, the secondary market prices. I was like, "Nope, forget that." I can do without that. I'll just be happy with paying that same amount of money for a vintage figure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think the 3 3/4 inch were a collector's club type deal.
Yeah.
I know I have the Land Adventurer. I never took it out of the package because I only had one. But like you said, now they're astronomically priced and they're very hard to find. But the Creo one was flocked. It did have a flocked head. Yeah, and I have those. And there was an Air Adventurer as well. And so yeah, that was interesting. But like you said, it is interesting to see do they bring it back out in order to renew that copyright so that people like us, like I'm trying to make a GI Joe comic or whatever. I used the name GI Joe, so Adventure Team. Oh nope, can't do that because now we just threw something out there so that we can keep it updated.
Just coming up with Adventure Command took me quite a long time because I remember I sat there one day and just kept putting the word adventure in and then sticking a word at the end of it, Googling it, and how many times I hit upon somebody was already using this name and this name and this name. And finally I stumbled upon Adventure Command, and it's like, oh, I really love that. So that's why it's DC Jones and Adventure Command. It was also a way for me to try to invest Adventure Team with a little bit of the sensibilities of Real American Hero in terms of, back in 60s and 70s, they were all GI Joe. There weren't any personalities. It was all just you know uh, uh, abilities or their skills or something like that. But I always loved one of my favorite things as a kid was the Adventure Team Viewmasters.
Oh yeah,
In
those are
order to
classic.
have stories, they had to give the characters names. Yeah, there you go. And I love that. So that's where I took some of the names from, but then I invented names of my own, trying to make them sound like names that would reasonably come from the 1970s. The man of action, his name is Kent, because to me that evoked Kent McCord from Adam 12.
Yeah.
The astronaut is Glenn, for John
Sure.
Glenn,
Yeah.
obviously, and the black talking commander is Marcus, and he's become one of my favorite characters. Oh, this is interesting. Do you remember several years ago, Hasbro did a contest where they went to some of the uh, Kindle Worlds was the platform they used to have, where people like me could write fiction officially using properties that weren't our own. And one of them was G.I. Joe, except 99.9% of the writers it was all Real American Hero stuff. And here's me going, well, I don't want to write that. I want to write Adventure Team. And I actually emailed Hasbro, the rep, and said, can we do Adventure Team under that license? And she said, yeah, you can do everything except for the movie. I think there was only one movie at that time. And I said, I don't want to touch that damn movie. I only want to do adventure team. So I did a couple of those, but Hasbro then approached some of us and picked four of us guys and said, tell us a character from your original characters, and we're going to put them into a contest, and whoever gets the most votes, we're going to make an action figure of it, an official G.I. Joe action figure. But it wasn't really fair because I was up against 3 real American hero guys, and here's me, adventure team. I'm like, oh yeah, great. Like I'm supposed to get as many votes or more than these.
But they could have split the vote.
I'm sorry?
They could have split the vote.
I know, but I have never campaigned for something so much in my life. But I picked Marcus, and they actually had the guy that was drawing the G.I. Joe comic at the time,
Right.
Atkins. Can't remember his maybe I think it was something Mike Atkins or something, whatever his name was. We actually had to give him character descriptions, and he did beautiful pencil drawings of the characters. And then afterwards they sent us the real actual artwork after the contest was over.
Wow.
So I have this gorgeous black talking commander who to me is Marcus artwork drawing of this guy, and it makes you wish that there was an actual adventure team penciled comic book. But he didn't win, but they told me that it did. They wouldn't tell me how many votes he got compared to the other ones, but they said we were a little surprised. You actually did pretty well compared to the other guys. But I became friends with the other 3 guys, and yeah, they accepted my friendship even though I was an adventure team guy. and I can't remember that it was a female character, and he got an actual G.I. Joe. It was actually like on the shelves for a little while. Like you could buy, go out and buy it.
Oh, really?
Can you imagine if I had gotten my adventure team character to win, and there would have been a new,
right.
3/4. It would have, my character Marcus would have been.
Might have been the fuel to start the fire.
Yeah.
Well, let's try. Now it's time to try this again with the classified line. We got who can we get a hold of and have them try it in 112?
Daryl the Priest was just one incredible proponent for Adventure Team, and when Kindle Worlds went down and we could not publish that stuff anymore, we went to him at I think it was the very last JoeCon, which we debuted Joy of Joe at that convention. I drove to like Kentucky or Tennessee, whatever it was, to
Kentucky.
We sat with him and talked, and he said, guys, can we get these published, like really published, because it was only for Kindle. And he's like, Hasbro will go along with that, but you have to find a publisher. We're not a publisher. We can't do that ourselves. And we couldn't get a publisher, or there might have been an actual Adventure Team fiction book out there had we been able to do that. So that my stuff sat for a while because I couldn't publish it on my own. I didn't have the the license or anything like that until I got sick of it sitting around doing nothing. When I had gotten some of the best reviews of my career to that time on that work, that's when I said this was going to become my own thing, and that's how DC Jones was born. But it's grown so far past that now, where those characters are to me, hopefully to the readers, but to me are living, breathing characters now.
Yeah,
with their own personalities and lives and skills and everything else.
Yeah. Hey Jim, I know we're at the top of the hour, but Rick took up so much time at the beginning. Do you mind staying a little bit longer so we can?
No. Well, if you don't mind me talking as much as I do.
Either you or Angelo. We hear Angelo all the time, so I'd rather hear you. Man.
Yeah. Andy and Andy had
Paul,
and I'm
Paul, I actually approached you because I love talking about GI Joe, and I
Or-
asked around and I said, "Why the hell is there no, 12-inch GI Joe podcasts?" And immediately somebody said, "Well, you got to talk to Paul Knapp." And
But
I'm like,
Paul doesn't talk.
I just get people lined up
He
and then
just
I
he
let them
just
talk.
sits there and
I know.
Now, hey Jim, I want to think
okay,
about this. Think about this. All right. The every GI Joe movie that's come out has been a big stinker. They don't know what they're doing. If they stuck by the Larry Hama storyline, things would be great with the Real American Hero. But they don't, and they're all garbage. So with your DC Jones, what if write a script for a screenplay? Try to see if you could throw that out there somewhere. See if someone would bite. That would be an adventure team esque, movie, and I think that would go much better than what they tried to do with the Real American Hero line, because there's so much fantasy in those Real American Hero line with Cobra as the terrorist organization. It just gets too far fetched. But with the adventure team piece, with the DC Jones, that's all doable. That's all, very James Bond esque, Indiana Jones esque. I mean, that's all things that can be done with this, with your command.
I appreciate that
You never
thought.
know.
Admittedly, it's that would be a very daunting task for me. Like, I have written comic book scripts, but I've never actually written a script for film or television. So that's one thing that I would have to kind of teach myself to do. I'm also incredibly lazy, so
so a lot like the
um,
rest of us.
I'm turning 60 this year, and I have to kind of choose my battles carefully of like what else I want to do. So yeah, I mean the other thing is that would, I think, expose DC Jones to a much greater scrutiny, and today's Hasbro might not be too fond of me doing that. Um, I mean, in a way, this fourth volume that I just put out and having these novelizations of 6 episodes of the 24 episode DC Jones TV series is kind of a way for me to do that. Everything I write, I imagine visually in my head as a TV show or film. Everything that I write, I see it in my head, and that's how I write. So in a way, that's kind of me doing that. I don't know. I mean, it's weird because kids today have no sense of history, and I know I'm generalizing on that, but there's also this like retro thing going on where so many things from even going back to my childhood in a way are sort of being embraced or you being used somehow. So you kind of wonder, like, what if there was a little animated TV series of Adventure Command, that, or pardon me, or Adventure Team for that matter. I mean, that's kind of how I picture Adventure Team stuff is as a cartoon. And with the wonderful advances where we don't even do cell animation anymore, it's all done in the computer,
In the
even
computer.
to make it look like even. I mean,
Animatic,
they could make a really fun retro 70s Saturday morning cartoon. My God, why? I mean, of all the things that were done back then, why Hasbro never, or somebody
No
didn't go to
appetite.
Hasbro and say, we had Star Trek the animated series, we had Planet of the Apes the animated series. Like, why the hell wasn't there? Adventure Team is really weird, and I brought this up in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and I can't understand it. There were so many pieces of ephemera for the '60s Joes. There were coloring books, and there were jigsaw puzzles, and there were sticker books, and there were the role playing stuff. You could buy a full size helmet for a kid, and all that extra stuff, a card game. You get into Adventure Team era, and it almost all goes away. When I was a kid, I loved coloring books and jigsaw puzzles. Where the hell were my Adventure Team coloring books and jigsaw puzzles? Like a property that really lent itself to that stuff. I mean, we had color forms, right? I didn't have the color forms, but I mean that's really about it. There wasn't a board game.
Masters.
Yeah,
There
I mean,
there was a board game.
Yeah.
Was there a coloring book? Was there a coloring book?
Yes, there was.
Adventure Team? I know there was.
There was for Army GI Joe. I don't know about Adventure.
Army, Navy, but
they had Halloween costumes. They had the Halloween costumes. That was about it.
I didn't know there was Adventure Team Halloween costumes until I was an adult. I never ever saw those as a kid. It just they lost faith at some point where Adventure Team is so colorful. When I think of the Adventure Team, that's one of the first words that pops into my head is color.
Yeah.
It's so colorful. It would so lend itself to so many things that should have been made, and I don't understand, why that is. They never really marketed
that's
it
because
that
color televisions were really becoming popular in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yep.
So that's the reason why all the color for the Adventure Team.
Yeah.
It made it pop.
Yeah.
They were making enough money off of it. They couldn't care. They didn't care.
Very true.
Ernie wants to know if you could show your collection off real quick. What's behind you, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So this is my living room. When we moved into this house, my wife's intention was to have the whole living room be sort of an under the sea theme, and sadly, she didn't get to complete that project. So that was one of the first things of therapy that I did after she was gone, was complete that for her. So I have two cabinets like this, and it all has like childhood things in it, but all somehow like under the sea. So I kind of cheated in a way, but she hasn't haunted me yet and been mad at me. But I'm like, how can I fit GI Joe into this? And obviously, the Sea Adventurer and the
Action Sailor.
Action
Sailor, where my mind went blank. This Thunderball puzzle is actually, my dad bought that when I was a teeny tiny little kid. I just recently got this the Walt Disney World jigsaw puzzle, which is the Nautilus.
Nice.
And so there's actually a big Jim scuba outfit down here that I actually had that outfit when I was a kid. Weirdly enough, I barely had any big Jim stuff, even though my name was Jim. So there's like an Avon thing up here that's like a space capsule, but it's landed in the ocean. Kids books that have the ocean theme. I actually have. Hang on, I'll get it. So on the other cabinet on the other side. Yeah. So this and the astronaut were my favorites as a kid. The astronaut is my absolute favorite. In fact, Paul, if you look at the back of the Joy of Joe, that's me. That photo. That's
at the bottom with the space capsule.
Yeah, that's Christmas of 1969, and I was 4.5 years old, and I got my GI Joe astronaut in space capsule. And so so my story in that book is called GI Joe Made Me Vomit. Because long story short, I was sick that Christmas. I had the flu, and I was kind of getting better by the time Christmas Eve rolled around. But when we were sick, we got to take over the living room couch. That became our sick beds, and I was on the couch, and they were handing open, and they handed me this big ass box. And I distinctly remember tearing that paper open, and there was that that space capsule set, and I got so excited that I threw up. Luckily not on the box or whatever.
On the
My mother
box,
got a
man.
hole under me, but that's one of my like earliest memories. But so I was in the crossover era. I was in that really weird Adventures of G.I. Joe. That's where I came in.
Yeah.
And then literally like the next month was 1970, so I had a red-headed painted hair 60s Joe, but almost everything that I got after that was all Adventure Team stuff. So
I
so
understand.
all the kids that I knew were a little younger than me. They all had fuzzy head GI Joes, but I had
Mhm.
the painted head one, so mine was cooler, than the others. 'Cause it was like, they're like,
Cool.
your Joe looks different from.
I have a couple questions to ask you, not
Yeah, I'm
related
sorry.
to writing your books or anything, but it's kind of
Okay.
a couple questions I like to ask all of our guests. Do you remember the
Wait,
day
and who
when
are
you?
you again?
What's that? Oh, we gotta keep Stacy awake here. So we only get Stacy for an hour, then his meds kick in, and
Okay.
you never know what happens after that. So.
Yep.
Do
All
you
right.
remember when you stopped playing and started collecting, or was that when your parents made you take it to Goodwill and all the stuff had to go?
Well, let's see. I was. Well, let's see. When did I turn 14? I was 14 in 1979. So yeah, I mean, basically when the 70s ended, I was kind of, I was still reading comic books and everything, but it was kind of a little bit of peer pressure. Like nobody I knew at school was still kind of playing with toys and stuff, so I just I wasn't doing anything with them. We had moved to a different house, and my mother had to haul all the our board games and all of my toys and everything with us. And then one year she just like, why is this stuff sitting all around? You're not doing anything with it. So off it went. I think I probably I bought my first vintage GI Joe thing the year that my wife and I met. So that would have been 88.
Hmm.
So almost 10 years later. And my town used to have this immense toy show, just huge, that we would go to. And that was back when, you could pick
Moondog.
stuff up for not too much, and I got a few things. This is funny. Speaking of Canada, the first in the box thing that I actually got was what's it? It's what's the one with the grippers and the big mask and the padded
That was the demolition.
demolition? Or mine's called the other name for it.
What is
Is
it?
it
Demolition disposal or something?
or is it dangerous removal? Maybe
Oh,
something like
Maybe,
dangerous.
yeah.
Dangerous removal
That's
too. Yeah.
probably it.
And I remember I got home and I'm like starting to look over it and I realized it was the Canadian version
Oh, how rude.
that I got.
Throw it
Yeah,
out.
I know. Oops.
You throw that
You can
out.
send it up to
I
me,
didn't.
Jim.
I
It
didn't care.
won't hurt my feelings any. I'll repatriate it.
Give me one of
good.
your best childhood memories of playing with your toys. Doesn't have to be GI Joe.
Oh, you know what? It concerns this guy. This is not my original, of course. My original's in a landfill somewhere, probably. But I used to. I never ever submerged him in water, but I would hook up the hoses to him, and I would almost use him like a marionette. Like I would walk him along the front of the couch in our living room, and to me that was like up above the couch was up above the water.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool thing, or I felt like it was where I didn't have to hold on to the figure and have him walk along. I
Right.
actually went along like this, and again he was like a marionette, and there was this groove. If I could get into this one groove, it was like this perfect playtime where I had the octopus. He was down on the one end of the couch, you know, and I'd walk him along, and I was in my own head. You know, nobody else was bothering me. I had the living room to myself, and those were very, very special moments, you know, to imagine doing something that I could never do myself. And the other great memory is the little record that came with the space capsule.
Oh yeah.
Loved that to death. And how archaic of a thing. I put it on my little, you know, we had one of those little suitcase record
Yep.
players,
Yep.
and to play that and to go through the whole launch thing with the space capsule, you know, get my face right down in there and imagine that, you know, I was in there, and then hearing that soundtrack to a launch and all of that. And there was nothing like that in the world. Again, if I could get into that groove and kind of, you know, blank out everything else going on, you know, in the house or whatever, then I was a happy kid. I wasn't really an outside kid. I didn't, you know, play out. I didn't take my GI Joes outside very much because I was kind of, well, I was obsessive compulsive, and I didn't want anything to happen.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
to it. Every once in a while I did, but generally I got the kid next door had a ton of Adventure Team stuff. I usually got him to bring all his stuff. And if his stuff got broken, so the hell what? You know, it wasn't my stuff.
Oh.
Hey, Jim, we got one last question for you, and that comes from
Okay.
my buddy Rick. He likes to pull out the mayonnaise jar and ask this question of all of our guests. Go ahead, buddy. Ask it. Ask it. I know you want to ask
Hey,
it.
All right, see you now. No,
I have to do what with mayonnaise?
No.
Mayonnaise or Miracle Whip?
Oh well,
This is a,
it would
hey,
be
hey, Jim, this is
Miracle
a very
Whip.
serious
now,
question. How you
the
answer this now.
mayonnaise can only be made with avocado oil. You know,
Okay.
we got to be healthy now.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
get
because
it.
you're an
Yeah.
adventure team, because you're an adventure team guy, I'm going to ask this question. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
That's a great question. I actually have a Bigfoot fiction anthology that I published about
There
a
you
year
go.
ago called Knocks and Howls. You know what? I'll be honest with you. It depends on what day of the week you ask me.
So
Seriously,
today,
That's awesome.
I consider myself a Bigfoot agnostic. It really just depends. There are days where I'm utterly convinced.
Yeah.
Somebody, I watch a TV show, read a book or whatever, somebody sets down, you know, logic that just can't be, refuted at all. And then the very next day, you know, somebody says, no, it can't be Bigfoot because of this, and this. And I'll go, oh, yeah,
sway the other way.
you're totally right. There's just no way. As a kid, I had a love-hate relationship with what we now would call cryptids or things like UFOs or ghosts, all that stuff. I loved that. I was constantly doing reports in school and little projects and everything on all that things. But on the other hand, I was scared crapless of all that stuff. It's funny because it scarred me in many ways that I still carry those scars as an adult, but I worked them out by fitting all of that stuff from back then into my publishing, into my fiction or
Nice.
nonfiction. But yeah, I mean it's the same with flying saucers and ghosts and Loch Ness monster and all that stuff. Yeah, I absolutely love
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Well, of all the people I've asked that question, that's probably the best answer we've ever
Well,
got.
thank you.
So you're not going to ask him the serious one, Rick?
There is a serious
You want the
one.
serious question?
Yeah.
Yes.
You
That's
know,
what I thought was
you know what
coming.
was one
All
of
right,
They get harder. They get harder.
we got to get
you know what was
serious
one
now.
of the scariest moments of me watching television when I was a kid in the 70s is the moment that Bigfoot shows up in on $6 Million Man.
Agreed.
That
Agreed.
scene
Terrified.
where he's in the forest and suddenly everything goes to slow motion and Bigfoot walks out from the trees and Steve sees him and it's those weird eyes, the teeth. I mean, I was floored. Like, Bigfoot's not like scary. What the hell? And you know, that's
We have another author
What
in
was
the
that?
chat room tonight with us, John Micklig. I don't know if you've
Oh,
read
yeah.
his book on GI Joe.
oh, John. Hey, no, I know John.
Yeah, so he's been with
Nice,
us tonight watching. So
nice to see you.
no, Rick's normal question is, what is your favorite sandwich? I mean, that's like classic. You know, you got to answer a good answer here, man. You got to.
It would be the same one that I've loved since I was a kid. It's peanut butter.
BB&J.
I'm the biggest peanut butter person ever, and I've never been embarrassed to love peanut butter or to say that I still eat it to this day. It's a staple of my existence. It's such a simple food that, yeah, a good old peanut butter sandwich is just
The best thing is when you take off the top and you peel back and you get that first spoonful.
well.
That's the
These days,
best.
I eat healthier peanut butter, which there's a brand that it's only peanuts. It doesn't even have salt in it. My wife introduced it to me years ago, and now today I can't eat any other kind. Every other kind,
Wow.
with salt in it, it's just like, oh wow, this is too
And
much.
sugar.
Yeah. So
And
this,
lots of sugar
so
too.
you have to stir the
Yeah.
one that I get.
Separates
Yeah.
The oil separates,
yeah.
and you have to stir it. But
I remember
no,
getting that as a kid.
no, I know what you mean, because once you stir it, then you have to refrigerate it, and you have to let it kind of settle. And then, yeah, that same thing. Take the lid off, and it's like, oh, that first, this
Yep.
is great.
No, no.
Ah,
I was waiting for somebody to say that in the chat room. Do you remember In Search of with Leonard Nimoy? I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
yeah,
I'm sure you watched all those, man.
yeah. There was also a special on Bigfoot on TV in the 70s, and it had little vignettes, and that they did reenactments. And there's that one is just was terrifying to me, because there was a story about a guy in his house at night, and he's watching TV, and a Bigfoot supposedly was outside, and I'm trying to remember how it went, but it went by his window, and it like broke in through the window, and its arm was coming in the window. And I
That
mean,
would
as a kid, I
horrify
was
you.
just like, stop, stop, stop. There's also a movie. There was a I don't even know what to call it, a docudrama back in the 70s that I went to the theater to see, that it was just called Sasquatch. And that
Cool.
was the same thing. It was like 3 or 4 stories that they reenacted. And the one was the famous story. It's like late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, about the trappers, and they're going back to the cabin at the end of their day, and they feel that the entire way they're being watched. And then they're in the cabin, and they start getting pelted. The cabin starts getting pelted by rocks and everything like that. There's this really horribly scary moment where a guy, everything quiets down, and there's a guy, he's at the window, and he's got a rifle, and the camera's kind of panning along with him, and he's watching out for one, and he turns, and there's literally one right at the side of the window, like its face is like right
Jeez.
there. And talk about a jump scare,
Hmm.
like, what?
Hey, once again, it is called The Joy of Joe. It's on
Yeah, but
Amazon.
look
Make
it up.
sure you guys get yourself a copy. Jim, I'm going to bring you up big one more time, and why don't you tell people where they can find your book, or where they can find you, or what other
Okay.
platforms you're on?
All right, so I mean, the first basic place is go to Amazon, go under books, put in my name, and you'll see everything there. So it's all my self-publishing. I actually have 2 publishing houses. I have Flinch Books, and I have Becky Books, which is named for my wife. DC Jones is under Becky Books. Flinch Books has its own website, and that's flinchbooks.com. FLINCHBOOKS.com. And then Becky Books does not have a website currently, but you go to Facebook. There's the Jim Beard and Becky Books page, and you'll see all of my Becky Books announcements. you're also going to see a lot of the licensed work that I've done over the years too, where I've worked for other publishers and done a lot of cool projects for, again, properties that I love. I have an original Spider-Man novel. I'm in an X-Files anthology, stuff like that. I did a Zorro story. A lot of things that I liked as I was growing up. I'm also I'm still on X. I'm one of those people. Sorry. But I'm also now on Blue Sky, and Blue Sky has been really great because people there seem really interested in hearing about small press publishers like myself. And both of those, I'm at writer Jim Beard. So drop in one of those places and
Yep.
say hello. If you're in the Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan area, on first weekend of March, I think it's like the 9th and the 10th, is Fantasticon Toledo, and I'll be at that. I've done it. It's like the 10th year. I've done every single year of the show, and I'll have a table there, and you'll see all the books. You'll see Joy of Joe, and you'll see the DC Jones stuff. I actually have a brand new header panel that I have for DC Jones, where it's DC himself, and he's saying, welcome to the Adventure Command kind of a thing, just to make it a little bit more cool of a display, but stop in if you want to pick up a book and have it signed and chat about GI Joe.
And you're not like Sergeant Slaughter at the shows. You don't charge $50 for signatures, or okay.
No. In fact, if you go to Amazon, don't be afraid to look at the prices. I keep my books very reasonable compared to other similar books from other small press publishers.
You just sold 3 in the chat room tonight, actually.
Actually, probably more than that.
I mean, I want to sell books, and I want people to read them, and when you price yourself out of all of that, that's just not going to happen. If you want people to read your stuff and you want to have conversations because of it, and you want to keep doing these things, then you got to keep your prices reasonable. I think Joy of Joe is only like $9.99, $10.99, something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what it was.
That's
Yeah,
not bad.
good.
Hey, stupid question. Secret action figure room.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
So
what
I have
was this other one? Cry of the
I have
Jungle.
I have one and only kids book, and that was supposed to be a series, but the little bit of a sad story is I don't have my artist anymore for that. So there was a second one
Okay.
written, but I've never been able to publish it because I'm not sure what I want to do. If I get a new artist, I might want to republish the first book with that same artist instead of having
Right.
But anyways, Secret Action Figure Room is inspired by a book. Everything goes back to my childhood. Is a book called The Secret Hideout,
Right.
which was this wonderful book from Scholastic, and there's actually a sequel to that too, that I absolutely loved. It's like a backyard adventure where kids find out that somebody before them, from years and years before them, in the house that the kid's grandmother lives in, had a secret club with passwords and masks and all this fun little stuff, and they just start to discover what that's all about, and they find the secret hideout and all this stuff. I love things like that. I wanted my own book like that, but I wanted to tie in action figures. So the Secret Action Figure Room is the same thing. It's a kid's backyard adventure book where one summer, the main kid finds out that his dad had another version of his own favorite action figure, which is called Adventure Sam. And the kid has little figures of it. He finds out that in his dad's childhood, his dad had 12-inch figures of the same thing. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So his dad gives him his own collection of stuff from when he was a kid. So the kid gets like a
That's
whole
cool.
trunk full of Adventure Sam, and
Well, we know that's fictional.
He gets his friends, and they start playing with it. But
Giving away
then
his stuff.
there's a mystery that they kind of stumble into about the toys and where they're playing in the backyard and all this kind of stuff.
That sounds cool.
And just like the book from when I was little, there was craft projects in the back. It showed you how to make the masks that the kids wore out of paper bags, and like a staff or a spear or all these. It was really, really fun. So in Secret Action Figure Room, there's actually a craft project in the back of the book. It was supposed to be 3 books, and like I said, I don't have that writer or the artist left, and I don't have access to her anymore. And so it's too bad. That second one has been sitting there for a while now.
You also did a Captain Action.
Yeah, 3.
Cry of the Jungle Lord?
Yeah, so yeah, I couldn't write G.I. Joe official, but official licensed prose work, but I know the owners of Captain Action, and now several years ago, I went to them and I said, "Hey, wouldn't it, like you have Captain Action comic books? Like, wouldn't it be cool if we did a prose novel, like an old-fashioned pulp novel?" And they love that idea, and we did 3 of them, and it's a Dr. Evil, Paul. It's a Dr. Evil trilogy. And they're set in the 60s. They're set like around 1967, 68. And we just had a blast with those. So much fun. They don't use the continuity or background that were in the DC comics, because that's owned by DC. But Moonstone did Captain Action Comics, and they created their own background, and it's mostly based on that, like Captain Action's real name and the organization that he works for. But I added a bunch of things in. I added in like a use for the hat. It's not just like a sailor's cap, and everything. It actually has uses. It has little lenses that can pull down from the brim, like infrared and other types of things. And we just had a really, really fun time with those. So there's 3 of those, and those are on Amazon too.
Well, Jim, we're gonna have to have you back for sure, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's just you and Murray and talk the whole night. I mean... oh, wait! I didn't cut you off already, Jim.
You ran away. You scared him off.
Ran him off.
I did not do that, man.
What is wrong with you?
Jim, where'd you go?
You scared him away.
Oh, well, I guess that's the night. Hey,
there
there you are. Did you do that on purpose or what?
That's a true sign of like it's the end of the evening when I start getting so excited that I'm knocking stuff off.
Give him the hook. Give him the hook. He's done.
It was Paul's fault.
Yeah.
Once again, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. You're welcome back anytime. We're definitely going to have you back for round 2 for sure. Don't forget, next week we have Felipe Monaco coming in, artist.
Cool.
And tomorrow for my TST Toy Soldier Tuesday, I got the owner and operator of BMC Toys, Jeff Imel. So he's going to be on tomorrow night. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great week. Once again, Jim.
Good show.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with